Hello everyone, welcome to another episode on Azure On Air. And today we are going to discuss on and latest buzzword, lift and shift. And I hear this often from many of the customers that we work with. And I have a lot to explore in this topic, and I've got an expert in this field to clear all our doubts today.
Kubernetes, we will use Azure Kubernetes service. Uh, that is a reliable solution for bringing DevOps and Kubernetes together to improve the speed and security of the deployment process. It's the best, let's say, the best approach to migrate without losing, let's say, to centralize all this data in the same place. This is the goal of the government to go to move to the cloud. Is that we have one place to secure the data. We have a team of security that work on that, let's say, but to ensure that.
Let me welcome Hamida to this show on Azure On Air. Hi Hamida,
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Welcome to our show, Hamida. Let us get started knowing Hamida better. Tell us more about yourself, Hamida.
Okay, I am Hamida Rebai. I am senior cloud application architect at the Revenue Quebec. It's one of Canada's government agencies. I am Microsoft MVP in developer technology 4 times, also MCT 2 times, Azure certified. I am recognized as a Microsoft Dev Hero. I share my knowledge through blogs, technical articles, and conferences. I'm contributing also by coding to project, and I am a member in .NET Foundation. I led many projects to drive change through technological innovation that create business opportunities. I shapes and translates business and IT strategies. I'm empowering organization to achieve more on the cloud with a new skill. I'm also a mentor or coach future leaders that want to be a MVP or want to contribute in .NET or cloud community.
Awesome. Thank you for being on our show. It's a pleasure to have you here, and we are looking forward to learn a lot on Azure Container Services space from you. And as I could understand, you're working for a government organization in Canada, right? So
Exactly.
yeah, and the applications that you deal with would be of high sensitivity, isn't it? So in this case, when the organization chose to migrate to cloud, and why the choice was Azure Container Services? Enable us, when should an organization consider Azure Container Services in their migration journey?
Okay, so maybe I will start to talk about a little bit about Revenue Quebec. What is it?
Yeah.
Revenue Quebec is a government agency, Canadian government agency that encourages social and economic development in Quebec. So they help individual people and businesses to understand and fulfill their tax obligation. Specifically, so they administrate tax legislation and social programs. So we have many things related to have really collected data, and we have a huge volume of unstructured data. Let's say.
Okay.
So you can imagine that. So the work generate really many data, and we have old applications, so it's not easy to change every year the application or to move, for example, a new technology. It's not really easy for a government because we need the budget and we have the data of the people and enterprise and everything. So to mine data in a manner that scale and is accurate is super critical to help us to do our job thoroughly and serve the taxpayer and our various constituents. So in order to simplify the, let's say, the deployment and management of application based on a monolithic or legacy application, we selected to use containers because in containers we have, let's say, uh, we can deploy our legacy application without any change. We
Oh.
can make the change, we cannot change. So we have really many choice for container, and it's really stable, so we can lift and shift, deploy on container, and we can work after on this application to improve, re-architect, and they still be in container. We use also Kubernetes for orchestrator with containers. Now, to ensure the continuous integration and continuous delivery and secure DevOps implementation, we use Azure DevOps with the Kubernetes and with containers. So it's really easy. Actually, we use Azure DevOps to ensure CI/CD. And Kubernetes, we will use Azure Kubernetes Service. Uh, that is a reliable solution for bringing DevOps and Kubernetes together to improve the speed and security of the deployment process.
Excellent, excellent. That's a wonderful start for this session, and I have got a number of questions based on this. Yeah, so, as per your recommendation, when we spot the legacy code to deal with huge data, and I want to take advantage of the cloud, like the DevOps, automatic CI/CD pipelines, and then my choice should be to lift and shift it first using the
Yeah,
container services in combination with the Kubernetes, and then take bits and pieces and move them into the re-architecturing or restructuring. It would be an recommendation. Correct, Hamida?
exactly. Yes, yes, exactly.
That's
It's the best, let's say, the best approach to migrate without losing, let's say, losing our application, losing data with the big security, high security. So it's the best choice. So we can move, lift and shift to have the advantages of the cloud and of the containers specifically and Kubernetes. And after we can plan application priority to say this application we will start with piece by piece, and we keep our services online working
exactly.
for people and for enterprise, so we don't have any interruption in this case.
Yes. So without any downtime, I have my application live and running, and I still plan for my cloud migration. That's wonderful. I'm
Yeah,
sure this is going to be a very useful discussion for many of people who are in this phase, because we
yeah,
have an offering from my company Covite.co, which is Bistock 360 for Bistock customers who have their integrations right now in their on-prem platform, and they are also in the phase of migrating to cloud. And in most of our discussions we find that people have a lot of queries or questions on where to get started with, and for whom your response now was an spot on answer. And you were talking about huge data, and I can imagine the amount of data and government organization like the one you are dealing with might have to deal
yeah,
with that to unstructured data. Yes,
yeah.
the amount of effort involved in dealing with it. Can you enlighten us with some of the challenges that you faced? How did you solve it that we need to be aware of before dealing with such data?
Okay, as I said, so we have really huge data, unstructured data, and structured data. We have some data using databases like Oracle, SQL Server. We have many databases, and we have just files to manage.
No.
So we need to let's say to centralize all this data in the same place. This is the goal of the government to go to move to the cloud, is that we have one place where we have everything. So all, let's say, all government will work to have work on data first after in their application. The data is really important and let's say for Revenue Quebec, data is really important because we let's say we it's really critical data. We need to secure them. Going to the cloud is a really big challenge. Let's say um, it's really big challenge if you go to the cloud to ensure that you are able to secure this data without any problems. We hear it from let's say from the media and news. This bank have a problem with their data, so it's really a big challenge to
Absolutely. Yeah.
yes, to say to the people, okay, we are big organization, but really we are competent to secure your data, and we can control that. and we are here uh, to optimize your user experience, because it's really important now. We are in period of taxes. We will
Hmm.
send our
Hmm.
papers
Hmm.
using the portal of Revenu Quebec, so all
Mm-hmm.
people in the same time. So it's
Mm-hmm.
really important to optimize the experience.
Hmm.
So it will be fast, simple for all people,
Mm-hmm.
old people and young people, people that never use it, let's say, don't like using computers. So it's really big challenge to do that. Yeah,
Correct. Yeah, considering the way different nature of people that to whom we are
yeah,
delivering the application to, and we cannot expect them to understand the complexity involved in dealing with such
exactly.
humongous data. And as you said, it's our responsibility to provide the optimized solution to the end users. And what
Yeah.
services in Azure that helped you achieve this at ease?
If we talk about Azure, now we don't decide which which provider we will use, but it's because we use, let's say, many Microsoft services. Let's say, for me, it's personal view. I prefer that we use Azure Container Registry and with the Azure Kubernetes services. So it's better to use them both, because we have many applications in ASP.NET, and we want to move them in ASP.NET Core, for example. So it's better to in the beginning. So it will be my Windows containers using Docker containers in the beginning. After we if we move use to ASP.NET Core, we can use Linux, for example, environments.
Yeah. Okay.
That's uses for the most of Azure, let's say.
Okay. So, in specific to data security part, like how do you ensure that your data security needs are met when you are doing your lift and shift operation to the container services?
To secure the data, we have a team of security that work on that, let's say. But to ensure that, we will use our let's say our services offered by the provider. For example, for Azure, we use Active Directory. We use features related to the database for Azure, for example, SQL SQL Server, for example. We have many features that we ensure that all data are secured with using users, having users. For other provider, let's say we have the same thing. Uh, every provider offer their proper security for, especially for Azure. We are connected using Active Directory Exchange, all of that. So it will be easier to secure all data by user. So every user have their privilege to go to access, to read, to modify, or not to read, or to view this data.
Awesome. So, what about, say, you were mentioning about an .NET application being access moving into an container service. What if I have built an application in a non-Microsoft technology? Is that still possible for me to move my application as such into the container registry and Kubernetes services in combination?
Yes, as I said before, we can move to container any legacy application, especially for .NET, the old framework. If we go through Visual Studio, for example, Visual Studio, we can have the platform of .NET Core and the old platform. And we have some many features in Visual Studio that we can use it to deploy on containers, on container registry, or Docker OOP too. So it's not really difficult to deploy any application legacy, .NET Core, the old framework to container. This is why it's better to go to the lift shift before re-architect, and this is one of the advantage of moving to container, let's say.
So, Hamida, that's wonderful. We talked a lot about Azure Container Services. How should an organization consider container services in their migration journey? Tell us more about an interesting big revolution that you created in the healthcare in Tunisia. I'm curious to know more about this from you.
Yes, okay. When I was in Tunisia, so let's say in 2016, I was working in a personal project. It was a personal project where I tried to pitch it in many places to build my own startup before coming to Canada and
Okay.
stop everything. So, let's say
Okay.
it's called it's called the name Olotabib. It's
Mm-hmm.
healthcare solution
Mm-hmm.
when we are able to book appointment with the doctors in
Mm-hmm.
Tunisia.
Okay.
In Tunisia, we have a problem to have an appointment, so we need to call the doctor, and sometimes he's not available on that day, or you have to go to the clinics, private clinics, if you don't find any appointment with your doctor. So it's really complicated, and we don't have any idea if
Mm-hmm.
there is a doctor available around your place there.
Mm-hmm.
So it comes from my son was always sick that
Okay.
day, so I'm and her doctor is not available always. So we go to the private clinics and
Mm-hmm.
we try to find a doctor to be able to have an idea which the problem. So Alu Tabib is the name. It's application, mobile
Mm-hmm.
application, and
Mm-hmm.
web solution that where
Mm-hmm.
we are able to search for a doctor in using some keyword and let's say
Mm-hmm.
geographic place,
Mm-hmm.
and it's using that a .NET framework.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we have web APIs, UI using Angular
Mm-hmm.
JS that day because the it's really old application, let's say.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah.
And the web application that we used at Xamarin is the
Mm-hmm.
first, let's say, the first experience of Xamarin because I want something, a platform that we are able to produce Android and iOS
Mm-hmm.
application. And Xamarin was a new experience for Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, so I tried to use this to have the minimal of this new framework that day, and we built Alotabib. It was, let's say, I was only a developer and
Awesome.
contributor,
Yeah.
and my son and my husband was working on, let's say, network issues,
Mm-hmm.
deploying the application, and we deployed in Azure. We
Mm-hmm.
were in Azure startup, and that Azure
Awesome.
Beanstalk.
Mm-hmm.
We were accepted in Azure Beanstalk before. Now it's called Azure Startups. During
Mm-hmm.
3 years to use Azure technologies, all Microsoft technologies during 3 years without paying anything. So it's really beautiful experience. Let's say I started discovering many things with Microsoft
Mm-hmm.
uh, in from this let's say from this application on Tabib. I
Mm-hmm.
discovered the Azure services in that day,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really important. But so the importance of let's say we have many challenges in Tunisia to
Mm.
use the technology in healthcare
Mm. Correct.
because we don't have any, let's say, any laws or governments issues inside Tunisia to protect, let's say, data. Data is
Mm-hmm.
always important,
Mm.
and we will save doctors' data and patient data.
Mm.
So people looking for that. So we need to ensure
Mm.
uh, that we will secure all this information, even we deploy it in a secure place in Azure.
Mm-hmm.
But we have problem in just to convince the healthcare, let's say, entities that we are working really with the secure services and will
Mm.
not, let's say, sell this information to any person or any organization. That was
Correct.
this the challenges. So
Okay.
we passed, let's say, we pitched that in many places, in many countries too.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but after I become let's say Microsoft MVP, and we get an offer. I get an offer in
Mm.
Canada, so it wasn't easy to keep the project and come here to
Understand.
be integrated. It's not really easy.
Understand. Understand. Yeah. So the HIPAA compliance would have been an basic requirement to
Yes.
like push the product to the market. Yes. Okay, but I can observe your concern to the society in every project that you're working with, be it your initiative to create
Yeah.
an doctor appointment application or the current government project that you are working with. Yes. So how
Yeah.
this is an a question from an perspective of how what, the values that we need to possess as an application developer. Like how what do you think is an human value that we need to implant in the applications that we build for the end users?
You mean value? Yes. For me, it was, as I said, it's personal application. I call call it personal because it comes from my needs to have an
Need.
appointment.
Mm.
But I can see that this application can be valuable for my country, for Tunisia. Even we don't have until now. We have a similar, but we still have the same problem. According to the, let's say, to having healthcare using technology and healthcare, doctors are not, let's say, feeling safe to use this application, and understand that, and patient too. uh, but really uh, uh, I don't know how we say that, but I built this application because I want to do something change to do change. Let's say during the pandemic, my sister wanted to build something to, let's say, to see how the pandemic is increasing,
Evolving.
number of
Yeah.
death and everything, and requested me the better solution to use, faster solution to use, to do that, because in that day Tunisia doesn't, they they are not able to count, to use really a convenient solution. We get the pandemic in one day. It's not
Yeah.
really easy, so we don't have really big background technology, even though we have really many competent engineering in Tunisia. So I helped her to build a simple solution to fight and track COVID-19. I contributed to have, let's say, dashboard using Power BI.
Okay.
This dashboard is always online. We try to get information from the government to
Government.
display that after, to display to see how we can
Evolving.
adjust
Yeah.
to fight to track it, to see how it's going, number of death, number of cases, and to estimate after the number. And it helps the government to add more things, to see the
To
situation, the
take
current
measures to
situation.
keep things in control.
Yes.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. In like the pandemic was an a whole new experience for all of us, and it
Yeah.
keeps holding us for couple of years now. And as you rightly said, necessity is a mother of invention, and those inventions that you have come up with has also created an impact among the society. And
Yeah.
that's great. That's and what is your recommendation to youngsters like who have ideas but looking for the right solutions to services to build their solutions with? What is your recommendation for them, Hamida?
I want to say that every project is, for any person, it's a new adventure, and it's, as, let's say, IT professional, we have a bigger opportunity to help others in their lives. So I
Exactly.
believe that we have really big opportunity offered to us in technology that make change in the world, to build a better solution to help each other in many domains, not only in healthcare, because I really attached to the healthcare, let's say, domain. I'm still attached in that. I'm not working on that. I'm working in government, but in finance things. But I'm still attached, thinking always about something that make healthcare more better in Tunisia. Uh, my father was a diabetic, so I was always looking for to to find the solution that help us to see, let's say, to see if the situation is better or not. So, as you know, so it's really complicated. So we have many things related to healthcare and other domains, especially environments too. So I see that there is many applications that we solution that we can build to improve the problems related to the environments. Uh, so we, as I said, we have, let's say, something special to make a change and
Absolutely.
to leave our footprint in this world.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. Yes. That's a great message to all youngsters who are looking forward to create innovative applications in IT. And thanks for
Thank
sharing
you.
your expertise on Azure Container Services and Kubernetes. Yes, I'm sure this is going to be a very interesting and useful session for our listeners.
Cove.co